With that, I would like to get started and pass it over to Vinayji to be able to get started with the interview. So thank you, Sarah, for the recording.
Thank you, Meenakshi. And good morning, Dr. Dutta. I am calling it good morning, though for you and me both, it's the evening.
Yeah.
But audience is the king.
Correct.
Dattaji, I have heard a few things about you, but I would like to know much, much more than what I have heard.
Sure.
So I would like to start from the very beginning. Your name intrigues me because on one hand, your surname is Dutta and your first name is Andrew. So it seems as if it indicates towards a mixed background, like some Hinduism, some Christianity, and maybe something else. So would you like to apprise us of the actual situation?
Yes.
Just a curiosity.
Yes. Thank you for asking that question. Actually, my name was given by my father's first boss. So my father used to work in a Protestant Christian organization, Indian Everyone Crusade, way back in 1970s. So when I was born, the boss of that, the head of that organization for the Eastern Indian region, he was a Protestant Christian gentleman, and he had two sons, Marc and David, and a daughter. So he said that, Tapan, my father's name is Tapan. So he said, Tapan, if I were to have one more son, I would have named him Andrew. Now that you have a son, do I have a chance to give him a name? So my dad said, okay, no problem. Just go ahead and give a name that you like. So he gave the name Andrew, and that stuck on to me till now. So that's how it happened. And when I finished my tutelage under my first guru, he said, I'll give you one name for you to carry. And he called me as Indrajit. So Sri is the name, which is the prefix. So in astrology, people also know me as Sri Indrajit, because the name Indrajit was given by my first guru. And he says, may you overcome all the 6 vices. So that's how, all the nomenclature and names have come up.
Have you given up all the vices?
Oh yeah, I'm almost trying, I'm very close to that, you can say. So
Okay.
the 6 vices, Shararipu, or the 7 sins. And so it's a journey. As an astrologer, the more we give up our anger, our hate, our jealousy, the more we are at internal peace and happiness. That is where the secret of successful prediction lies. And the successful prediction does not depend on any theory, any system, or any formula. It all depends on how peaceful and internally well aligned and well balanced is the astrologer himself. And that is where the success of a prediction comes, and where we are able to see the future. Seer, Jyotishi, who is able to see that Jyoti. So that's what has been the training I came through. So overcoming the 6.
Yeah, that is a very important thing, I feel, because in our circles where we learn and teach astrology, usually it is the technique, the different techniques of predictions, the knowledge about Rashi, planets, bhavas, nakshatras, vargas, and this and that. But nobody really teaches how to overcome these shadripus, the 6 devils that you have called. I wish there was a course within the astrological syllabus or outside it that most of the astrologers would go through, because I agree with you completely that the right prediction or the right advice that the client needs would come through only a very stable mind of the astrologer, which is a separate process altogether. Knowing many techniques doesn't bring that in. So thank you very much for bringing that into picture. I understand you had a long ancestry of Vedic astrology in your family?
It's a long ancestry, but I won't call it a purely Vedic astrology. It's astrology, but it may not be entirely Vedic, because there are so many stuffs that are involved in our family. And I'll just briefly give a touch upon those points.
Please.
I come from a family which is now almost this November, if I consider myself getting into the field of astrology in November 98, we will be completing 224 years of astrology practice. I'm the 4th generation astrologer in my family. So the start was done by my maternal great-grandfather, Surendranath Jyotirbachaspati, and he was from the earlier East Bengal, which is Bangladesh now. So during the partition of India in 1947, he came to India, and he had a tumultuous journey during that time. He handed over the lineage to the eldest in the family, which was my mother's uncle. That is my maternal grandfather's elder brother, Tauji. So my mother's Tauji. So, but he was never a so-called commercial astrologer, in the sense that he never practiced professionally, accepting fees and giving out astrological advices. Then my mother was the eldest in the family. She was the 3rd generation, and she was deeply into doing astrology professionally in Calcutta for a very, very long time. And she was known as Srimati Deblina in Calcutta. And we had a lot of people from political circles and film circles and celebrity circles in Calcutta regularly coming to my mom, but they used to come all in our residence. They never used to go to the chamber in which my mom used to practice. So they used to all come to the residence. And I developed this sense of astrology and what it is by hearing my mother saying, and my mother discussing over phone or in front.
Did you learn anything like Abhimanyu when you were in the womb?
Yeah, to a large extent, yes. To a large extent, yes, but it was more like, direct learning rather than hiding and listening. So, once client used to go away, I used to ask my mom, like, why did you say that? What was your thinking? And, a lot of tips and tricks and a lot of, long cut methods and shortcut methods, and so many things were there. But my mother was never my formal guru, where she, training me. More formal training did not come from my mother. It was more like initiating and introducing me to the field of astrology. But apart from astrology, our family has also been into a lot of remedial techniques and a lot of healing techniques, which are, some of them are within astrology, some of them are little different than astrology. Because my maternal great-grandfather and my mother, both of them were, apart from giving advice, they were also givers of solutions which are simple. In North India, what we say as totke. So, giving simple totke to people who would be able to go for very deep level remediations. So the entire gamut of astrology and remediation to help people overcome their life challenges was where I come from.
Do you think astrology can be passed on genetically also, like your case proves it?
Yes, it can be passed on genetically, but it need not pass on generation after generation, because as we know from horse breeding, it takes 7 breeds to get a thoroughbred. So it may so happen that a very good astrologer in a family comes after 7 generations, and 7 generations back, somebody was an astrologer. So it's not necessarily, it has to be one generation after the other that an astrologer comes into the family. It can jump 2-3 generations also.
So we will look forward to your grandchildren and maybe great-grandchildren for yes. One of those thoroughbreds.
True. That can always happen.
Okay, well, mom is always the first teacher yes. in everything in one's life. And absolutely. In your case, it also happened to be astrology. So which means that you've been learning astrology as a toddler and even continued to learn it as long as you lived. That's great. I think very few people are fortunate enough to have that kind of upbringing. Would you tell us a little more about your upbringing, like your school, college, and later college?
Yeah. I did my schooling from the Assembly of God Church School, which is in Park Street in Kolkata. And then I did my graduation from the St. Xavier's College, Calcutta in commerce. Then I went on to do my Master of Commerce in Business Finance from University of Kolkata. And I stood as first in first class. I was the university topper in 99 batch. And then I had a 2-year stint of working in a advertising agency, which is now known as Take 5 Communications, and they are into film production and corporate film production now. I used to work with Take 5 Communication, and then in 2002 I moved out of West Bengal to do my doctoral studies, and I joined the ICFAI in Hyderabad, and they sent me to Bentley University, Massachusetts in 2004 and 5 to do my doctoral work. And I developed my doctoral thesis in information systems and human resource management under Dr. Lynn Marcus.
That was very different from your background in commerce.
Yes, that's right. Because I had a business finance background, and then when I went in to do my doctoral studies, I started specializing in human resource management, because I was very interested to do my PhD thesis in capital market finance. But my corporate finance, I was very interested in doing on industrial sickness of Lalit Charan Gupta, LC Gupta, industrial sickness. But my university was not giving me that chance. They were only allowing to specialize in capital market finance. And I had already done a lot of that in my MCOM, so I thought I'll not do that. So the next green field that was really intriguing me was human resource management. So I got into that, and two great stalwarts of India, Dr. T.V. Rao and Dharani Sinha. Now Dharani Sinha is no more. So they were my mentors during my PhD days, and my college sent me to Bentley University in Massachusetts, where I developed my doctoral thesis. I defended there. My thesis, the thesis proposal was defended in Bentley University. I came back to India, did my data collection, and then formally submitted my PhD thesis. I got my doctoral award in 2007, and that was in the field of information systems and human resources. And that is where I started pouring more into IT and information system. So it's like kept on adding a lot of different tools into my armory, you can say.
I think human resources and astrology are very closely related. How to improve the resources, the human resources one might have at one's own command. Some help from astrology can be taken. So welcome to the world of astrology. Because there are very few doctors, whether the medical ones or the non-medical ones in the field. A lot of them are self-taught, etc., etc. But highly educated people like you are few and far between. I can only recall, there must be more, but I can only recall Dr. Frawley, Dr. Charak, and who am I missing? I don't know. Well, I know there are some people who came from the homeopathic background and like Gudrun from Germany, etc. Right. So I think healing becomes a part of the human resources development, etc., etc.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned your guru who gave you some formal training. Would you like to tell us something about him and how you got in touch with him?
Yes. My first guru, he is known popularly as Jyotir Jogi in West Bengal, and his original name is Pramod Ranjan Mohanto. And he has been associated with MP Jewelers of Calcutta for over now almost over 50 years, 50. And he took a early retirement to join that organization, because the owner of that organization was very pleased to know that he was doing very good prediction, very good predictive ability. So he asked him to take an early retirement from government service. And he said that, how much you would, really make into that government service. Why don't you join me? You enjoy your passion, enjoy your hobby. At the same time, we will be doing some good service to people. So he joined. And when I got to know him, because he had a very favorable image about my mother, and the way how my mother used to always be straightforward, honest, and never budging under any pressure, be it various political figures asking to give out certain predictions in a certain way. My mother never used to budge on that. So my first Guruji had a very good feeling over my mother. So when my mother, I was that time doing my graduation, just finished my graduation, 97, my last year actually. So my mother asked my first Guruji, used to call him Dada. So he said, Dada, would you like to take Andrew under your tutelage? Because my Guruji was known that he has never taught astrology to anyone, including his own sons and daughters. He has one son and 4 daughters. He never taught them anything about astrology, and he never taught any student. So my mother was a bit apprehensive whether he would at all take me under his tutelage. So and my first Guruji is also known for very straightforwardness, point blank, and some people also consider that as rough sometimes. But he's like, if he says no, he'll say no very impolitely. So he's like that. So he immediately told my mother, okay, we'll see. Everybody cannot do astrology. We'll see his chart. If he is made for that, we'll see. So that was his answer. So one day my father went with the chart to him, and he asked that, okay, this is the chart. Dada, you said you wanted to see Andrew's chart. So he saw the chart and he said, okay, ask him to come and meet me that date at 6 o'clock in the morning after having a bath. So on that particular day at 5:30 in the morning, I had a bath, wore a fresh clothes, and went to his house with a new khata, new exercise copy. And then he said, okay, come. The first thing he asked me is, just draw a zodiac. Just draw a zodiac. So I drew a zodiac, Eastern System zodiac. He said, okay, very good. So then he started. So later on I asked him, why did you ask me to draw a zodiac? He said, I wanted to see how straight and stable is your zodiac. If your zodiac is crooked and all this, I will know how far you will go. So,
but do you recall anything that he saw in your horoscope through which he accepted you as a student?
Yes, he did not explain it to me on that day, but later on, it was, I think, many months or maybe even a year, when I was so close and cozy with him and he treated me like his own son. I said, on that very first day, you asked me to draw a zodiac, very good. But when my father asked whether I'm capable enough to learn under your guidance, what did you see in my chart that made you ask my father, okay, send your son? He said, look at my horoscope and look at your horoscope. Aren't they so similar? Aren't they so similar? Now, if you do not come to learn from me, whom will I teach? So his planetary configurations and my planetary configurations, we are both about 40-year-old, 40-year difference of age. But his planetary combinations and positions are so similar to mine. And that is one of the reasons he gave.
Anything that really stands out?
He and I both have Moon and Mercury together. He and I both have Moon and Mercury together in Virgo. And in his Aquarius, he has a planet where I have a planet aspecting his Aquarius, similar planet. So there was Samasaptam relationship, and the planet which really made us gel together was the Virgo, Moon and Mercury.
Maybe I am interviewing you today because even my moon is in Virgo.
Yes, absolutely.
Otherwise,
absolutely.
it would not have been a coincidence.
Yes. And that is where I always believe in Rupert Sheldrake's theory that we all are connected. We are in a morphogenetic field, and we are all connected. No matter, a person right now suffering with corona in US is also related to me. I am sitting here, so we are all related, and that's exactly what you have said. Your moon in Virgo, and my Guruji's moon in Virgo, my moon in Virgo, and we are discussing, all three of us, on that.
So good that we can learn from each other. I am looking forward to learning from you. I'm looking forward to your lectures in Jyotish Kumbh and also something today. Would you like to tell us about the methodology that your guru followed, which he must have transferred to you?
Yes, he had a simple method which was more very similar to what we also used to do in our family. He will cast the birth chart based on the planetary positions of the Lahiri ephemeris. And in some cases, he also used to draw up the Navamsha. But his prediction used to be solely based on the planets, their houses they are occupying, and the star lordship that the planet has. And he used to use only Vimshottari Dasha. And he broke down the horoscope, the zodiac, I would say rather. He broke down the zodiac into smaller parts. So smaller parts in the sense, let's say, a 30-degree zodiac, he is breaking it down into 9 equal parts, which is the Navamsha. And from that, he is looking at the planet, and that he is connecting with the Pratyantar Dasha, Dasha Bhukti, Dasha Antardasha, Pratyantar Dasha. So this connection he used to make, and he used to make a very clear prediction. And because he was a astrologer professionally practicing, people used to come to know, I'm without a job, so when am I going to get a job? Will the job be near my home, or will the job be somewhere far away? Or, people coming with their children asking that, what kind of education or educational line do you see for my son or daughter? So giving very nuanced prediction. So giving the clear answer that, okay, you're going to get a job between this time to this time, and it is going to be near your residency, which means the place where you're living. You don't have to relocate to another city or another town, and it's going to be of a similar salary as you are expecting, and be prepared for the job which is going to happen around this time. And if there are the planets which are supposed to give him the bring that opportunity for the job, if those planets were not so strong enough, he used to suggest remediations. So that was
what
his
kind
method.
of remedies did he do? Since he was working with a jeweler, it seems as if he was essentially prescribing gems. Absolutely. Because the jeweler would be selling them.
Yes, that's right. His remediation method was exclusively gem remediation method. And what I learned from him was something he learned from Sadhan Bhai of Calcutta, who was a very, very famous astrologer of Calcutta in 1950s and 60s. And Sadhan Bhai was a person who used to see people and suggest remedies. And
without the horoscope?
Yes, without the horoscope. He never used to check horoscope. Sadhan Bhai used to look at people and listen to what is their problem. So somebody is not getting married, somebody is not getting a promotion, somebody is not falling in love or not getting a dating partner. He used to look at the person, ask them what is your problem, and he used to suggest remediation. So that Sadhan Bhai's, that technique, my Guruji followed. But what he did was, although he knew that technique, he taught me that technique, but he used to take a precautionary method by substantiating it with the horoscope. So his method was primarily gem remedy, whereas in our family, we have taken gem remedy and various non-astrological remediations, which go by the name of upayas or totke. and those kind of, yantrams. With yantrams also a lot of remediation is done.
So in your own practice, do you predominantly recommend gem therapy or something else?
Okay. In my practice, so I just need to give a little bit background on that. Our family's standpoint on remediation, also my first Guruji's standpoint, is also the same. Remediation was never given, or is still not given by me also. Remediation is never given for symptomatic problems. Somebody is having a certain disease, give a remedy, as if the disease will go away. No, it will never. Somebody is not getting a job, give a remedy and the person is going to get a job. No, it's not going to happen that way. So remediation is never symptomatic. The philosophy of remedy that we follow in our family is very similar to Ayurveda, which looks at the holistic person, the gestalt, the entire individual. So remediation is looked at from the entire horoscope, which remedy is going to balance the horoscope. So it's neither Anukul Vad or Pratikul Vad. I wrote an article in Express Star Teller many years ago, and that ruffed up feathers of a gem selling group in Bangkok. And they said, how can you say Anukul Vad is not the right one? I said, neither is Pratikul Vad, but I'll tell what is our experience. And it's neither Anukul Vad nor Pratikul Vad. It's all about restoring balance in the horoscope. We human beings are born on this planet because of certain disbalances in karma, not good or bad karma. It's certain disbalances are there, which is manifested through planetary combinations. And I'm never saying planetary positions, it's planetary combinations. So if Mars and Saturn is together, I cannot give any gem. Mars and Saturn is where? Is it in Kumbha? Is it in Makara? Or is it in Scorpio? Or Mars and Saturn is there in Aries? There is no single remedy which one can say, okay, Mars and Saturn together, let's give this remedy. No. Now, Mars and Saturn in these four places, for what kind of a lagna?
In your experience, do you recall any very outstanding horoscope to whom you may have suggested a remedy which worked like a miracle? At least one, for the sake of this interview.
I can give you 100 if you want, but the one that comes at the top of my mind, because I was discussing in my class last Sunday only. This is a scientist from Defense Research Development Organization, DRDO, and he is a Gujarati gentleman who was married for 10 years and they were not having any child. So from some source, he got hold of me and then he showed his horoscope. I said, look, both of you have your child, okay? Your child is promised. It's only that certain planet is blocking the result. You may, and he failed with IVF 3 times. 3 times IVF failed. That is when he got in touch with me. I said, look, you can do IVF 3 more times. I have no problem. Keep on trying. But this is the blockage. You remove this blockage and you're going to get a child. So his wife and himself, they did gem remedies, they did yantra remedies, and they did certain kriyas regularly in their home. And I'm talking about, 4 or 5 years back. And within 2 years, they had in a normal, natural conception, they had a beautiful, healthy male child. So,
do you recall at least some parts of the horoscope which prompted you for certain remedies, or is it confidential?
No, it's not confidential, but to be very honest and frank with you, every day there are so many horoscopes, and it is very difficult for me to. I still remember the gentleman's. I will not tell the name, but I still remember his surname, Desai, and. So I don't recall exactly, but as far as I remember, there was a configuration of planets which were blocking his 5th and 11th house. And very similar blockage was there for the wife's 5th and 11th house. So the common planet between the two, which was found to be the common blocking planet, that blockage was removed. And Our family follows, it was my maternal great-grandfather's way of doing remediation for gem, which was taking the Shadabala into account. So, we don't look at Dusthana Lord and, the 8th Lord, 12th Lord, don't give gem of the 6th Lord. 6th Lord is going to do harm. 6th Lord also gives service, job, income. So, Anukulbat, Pratikulbat, we don't go in that way. So, we look at the Sharabala. And in Sharabala, there are certain methods which my maternal great-grandfather, he just, kind of added on. If Sharabala, certain planets are in strength, and see certain other planets which are not in strength, and then add up the two, and then analyze that and come to a conclusion. That works very well. And I did a video course on that, which is sold all over the world, Gem Solutions, Ratna Samadhan. So as far as I remember, for this particular case for which I gave this example, there were blockages in the 5th and 11th axis of both the gentleman and the wife. And it happened, very normal, natural, healthy child. And they also insisted me to keep his name. So I also did the Namkaran for the child with the proper astrological dictum of the nakshatra-based initial letter. So that a Namkaran I did. So
some people suggest that the naming should be done according to the Namakshar that comes out according to the moon's nakshatra and charan.
Yes.
And some say that you can use anything else but this. So these are two contrasting opinions. What is yours?
Yes, that's a very interesting point you raised. And this was told to me by my second Guruji, PVK Punmeshwar Raoji of Hyderabad. What he said, and he said that the first 12 years of a child is where a lot of things don't match in astrology. And I said, you explain me further, because he initiated me into Uchchista Ganapati Sadhana. So after the day of initiation, he said, from now onwards, you are the son and I am the father. So there is no hide and seek between us. You ask me whatever you want to know and I'll answer whatever I know. So I asked him that, why is it that if within the first 12 days of a child's birth, horoscope is not made and seen by the father should never ever see the horoscope of the child for the next 12 years. Why is it so? So he said, look, the reason is there is Balarishta. And Balarishta does not only happen for the child's horoscope. The first 4 years of a child's life, it is the karma of the mother, which is going, like in North, you take it as mother or father?
Mother.
Okay, yeah, it's same in South also. So the first 4 years of a child's life will be the bhukta, that is both the suffering and enjoyment, you can say, will come from the mother's karma. So in the first 4 years, if the child is suffering, is the mother who needs the remediation, not the child. And the mother's horoscope is going to tell how the child's first 4 years is going to be. So the primary horoscope is mother's, secondary horoscope is that of the child. From the 4th to the 8th year, it is the father's karma that the child is going to get, good and bad. So the primary horoscope is the father's. And the last 4 years, that is remaining 8 to 12 years, is the child's horoscope himself or herself. So I asked my Guruji, so after that what? My Guruji said, after that, free will. There is no more astrology, it's all free will. What you sow, so shall you reap. So I said, oh, that means first 12 years is karma. I said, that's exactly. First 12 years is karma. After that, do good, get good. Okay.
So after that, you don't need an astrologer.
you just need to know what is the direction. You just need to know in that huge jungle of life, which is the direction to take, because, and I'll come back to your answer in a question. I'll come back to your question. It is like, I'll take an example of profession. So many people come to me for, knowing what is the profession, which profession should I go into? I always tell them one thing. Don't talk about profession, talk about your vocation. Because profession, vocation, career, three things are different things. talk about your vocation. And I always tell them, choose your vritti according to your pravritti. Now, if you do not know yourself, what is your pravritti, how will you choose your vritti? So let me help you. Now, what I do is, I always try to reduce the struggle for the client. If I can channel my client to the path of least struggle according to the planetary positions and combinations which are there, he is going to have a smooth sailing. So after 12 years, fundamentally, astrology's efficacy is, astrologers can show us which is the path of least struggle, which is the path where we are going to really be good. So I can be a very good musician, but my father wants me to become a doctor or an engineer or a management graduate. And I keep on struggling with sales and marketing throughout my life. Suddenly one day I sell my Ferrari and become a monk. Now, if somebody told me that, look, you should be a good monk, okay, don't get into this profession, I think the monastery would have got a monk much earlier, much better. So,
interesting. That brings me to the point. What is your profession? Your personal profession?
Yes. My personal profession is, I am the dean of a management college, which is coming under an university, a Jesuit university. It's India's first Jesuit university, XIM University. So I'm working as a dean of human resource management for the school. And there are about 18 faculties under me. And every year we bring out 120 HR graduates, human resource managers, to go into the corporate. So that's my main profession. But this is the astrology which is my family profession, is my, you can say family, a family business, family profession. It is now becoming more and more overwhelming.
So your pravritti is astrology.
Yes. So, and when I look at my chart in the Krishnamurti Paddhati way, my 10th house, Kaspal Sublord, is showing both the 7th house, 7th and the 6th. So 7th is self-driven, self-employment, business, and 6th is working under someone. So it's showing me both. And that's what exactly is happening.